Surely Inside Out 2 is one of the best sequels ever from Disney Pixar. But have you ever stopped to think about what future new emotions will appear in Inside Out 3? Because Riley's story and her emotions are far from over. Passion. Undoubtedly one of the emotions we hope to see, maybe even in the second Inside Out movie but didn't, is the long-awaited emotion of passion. Certainly Riley's new movie isn't focused on romantic moments, but much more on her personal development as both a human being and a likely high-level hockey player. The closest we got to this was the introduction of the super funny Mount Crushymore. In it, we see the faces of 4 boys, which is actually a parody of Mount Rushmore, with the faces of 4 US presidents carved in giant size. And of the 4 faces there, one of them isn't actually real, as it's Lance Slashblade, that game character Riley finds cute, just like discussed. The fact is, Lance was the last face carved, as we can see from the scaffolding still there, so we can deduce that Jordan was the first to be carved, as he is at the other end. In the middle are the faces of 2 boys we haven't met yet, but some say they could be famous personalities in the Pixar universe, such as the members of the 4-Town boy band, of whom Riley is a fan and even has a poster in her room. The fact is, in Inside Out 3, we will certainly see our protagonist older and certainly more mature, which would make her feel much more prepared for some kind of relationship. And at that moment, she could very well meet the new student at her school in class. Like her, this new student could be an outsider who will need to adapt to San Francisco, and Riley could help him through this difficult phase. She could do for him what she would have liked someone to do for her when she arrived in the new city. Of course, the two will get closer and closer, and at that moment, passion would come into play, activating the device to make the girl feel butterflies in her stomach. So, after a while, we would have Riley's long-awaited first kiss, which would surely be a simply historic moment in Disney movies. Basically, that would be the role of passion. And let's agree that currently none of the emotions in Riley's mind could fulfill this function properly, so surely passion is a new emotion that will be more than necessary sooner or later. Don't you agree? This is just one of the emotions that will appear in Inside Out 3 that you need to know. Surprise! Another emotion that we are sure we will see in Riley's next movie may have already appeared, and we didn't even notice it, is surprise. Or rather, we didn't have time to notice. That's because surprise is the emotion responsible for the intense reactions that everyone feels when they discover something unexpected or simply unknown. And it probably appeared in the control center after the last scene of the movie when Riley receives the news that makes her very happy involving the hockey team. Certainly, from the girl's expression, it's clear that the news was very positive, and at that moment we see that surprise would be the emotion responsible for making Riley feel good about the news she was so eagerly awaiting. Similarly, surprise would also be present in not-so-happy moments, since we feel surprised when we face an unexpected situation or don't hear what we would like to. In other words, surprise would be the emotion that would be as friendly with joy as with sadness. After all, it can act in partnership with both old emotions. Surprise would be the emotion responsible for causing immediate physical reactions to the news received, and for that, it would certainly have some buttons on the command table like the device to widen eyes and open mouths. Seeing this emotion will certainly be incredible. And if you are also a fan of Inside Out and enjoy everything about these beings that command the Mind Control Center, comment down below, #emotion. Pride. Still related to the great news that has yet to be confirmed but surely involves Riley's entry into the hockey team, we know that this creates positive feelings and happiness. However, it is also important to note that this can also generate at least one negative effect: pride. And that would certainly be a job for an emotion dedicated exclusively to this purpose. In fact, Pixar itself created this character to appear in the first Inside Out movie. He would be one of the dozens of emotions inhabiting Riley's mind and would interact with Joy and the other residents of the girls' control center. But you might be wondering, what does pride have to do with Riley joining the hockey team? The truth is, we all know that the movie's protagonist is very good at her favorite sport. And the fact that she is a good player and at the same time hears this many times from her teammates would eventually make Riley feel much better than she actually is. She would be a proud person. So if I had to choose a possible villain among the new emotions that could appear, pride would definitely be at the top of my list. That's because proud people end up losing empathy and sometimes even others around them, which would put Riley in a situation where she could lose her new friends like Val and the other girls on the hockey team, and she would be alone again. This may sound a bit repetitive, but if Pixar works well with this script idea, it could be really good. The truth is, pride isn't necessarily a 100% bad emotion. After all, it could be responsible for making us value our parents and friends since we can be proud of them. Surely that's something really cool that this new emotion can discover in the course of Inside Out 3, don't you think? Hope. Another emotion that we have a strong impression will appear in the next Inside Out movie is hope, especially because it is one of the emotions that was created and developed to appear in the first movie but ended up being cut from the essential emotions to be in Riley's mind. Surely hope is one of the most important emotions in anyone's life, since it involves the expectation that something positive will happen in the future. It would basically be a counterpoint to anxiety, which deals with planning for the future but always focusing on the worst things that can happen. So the appearance of hope is basically a matter of time to happen in the Inside Out franchise. As we said, this new emotion would always focus on what good things could happen, so it would bring a feeling of optimism and confidence that Riley needs so much to grow as a person and also in the career she chooses for her future. Basically, it would be the character's motivation to always persist on her path and even help other people who may face challenges and adversities. This would make Riley a better friend who could help Val and other close people feel more hopeful, just like the protagonist of the film. After all, this is a contagious emotion. In addition, we believe that hope will always be pulsing inside Riley's intention to, as soon as possible, reunite with her friends, both the most recent ones and the oldest one she had when she lived in Minnesota. Can you imagine how cool it would be if Riley's first friend from the first movie ended up visiting her in San Francisco in a third movie? That would certainly be a story I would love to see too. And another thing we would also love to see is you clicking on this button below and subscribing to the channel right now. You can rest assured it's free. Adventure. If there's one thing that's part of human nature, it's the fact that as we get older, we always want to have new experiences, especially after 15 years old, which will probably be Riley's age in the third Inside Out movie. And with this desire to do new things, naturally it arises within everyone the desire for adventure. This is certainly one of the emotions we will have the pleasure of meeting in the next production of this incredible franchise. For example, as soon as Riley joins the new hockey team, she will immediately feel the excitement of new challenges and the situations she will be able to experience. For example, traveling and meeting new places and people, just like the emotion that each game will bring to her. All this will bring to our protagonist several happy and lasting memories that will surely create a new island involving fun and challenges. The new emotion of adventure would certainly be the total opposite of fear and would seek to lead Riley to take much more risks than fear is used to and willing to allow. So, it would certainly be very cool to see the girl facing a bungee jump or waterfall, for example, and seeing adventure trying to make Riley jump and fear doing everything to prevent her from jumping. Peace. Another emotion that is only developed after we mature is peace. Of course, we all like to enjoy and have fun, but who doesn't like a good and rare moment of peace and tranquility, especially after a tiring week of work, study, and games? This is certainly the search for the good and famous feeling of tranquility and calmness that can be triggered when the emotion of peace takes over Riley's mind's command table. Believe me, as we get older, we increasingly seek these moments of relaxation away from the hustle and bustle and confusion all the time. Like when we hear that song we like inside our room, Alone and Calm. As Riley will be a teenager aged 15 to 16, surely the search for inner balance will be something she will need to develop, especially if she really chooses to pursue a career as a hockey player, which is a very dynamic and hectic sport. So, sooner or later, the emotion of peace will certainly appear in Inside Out, and it will probably be in the third movie that we will see in a while. And if you also want to rest and relax and enjoy a good moment of fun, you should definitely watch one of these two videos we are leaving on the screen, especially for you. Actually, if I were you, I would watch both, as they are really good. Thanks, and see you next time.